That's all right. I know you would have kicked both their asses. Freddy vs. Jason stars Monica Keena, Jason Ritter, Robert Englund, and is directed by Ronnie Yu. So guys, who would have thought that in this day and age that we would have a movie with both Freddy and Jason, two huge horror icons, in the same movie? It sounds just too big to be true. Now this is an idea that had been floating around way back, I believe since part 6. There's actually interviews with Tom McLaughlin saying he remembers on set people already talking about, wow, what if you put Freddy and Jason in the same movie together? And back then, they were owned by two different studios. So it makes me curious as to why these two and not Michael and Freddy and Jason, because those are really kind of the big three. I mean, you could say Leatherface is in there, but really when we get down to it, those are the big three. And I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I want to offer my thoughts on this. I believe that Michael Myers is more of a serious slasher, if you will, whereas there's a lot of fun to be had with Freddy and Jason, and I think those two would fare better on screen together. So Freddy vs. Jason is a story that really went through development hell. I mean, I'd say a good 15 years of development hell. And there were at least a dozen scripts floating around Hollywood. And really, nobody wanted to take a chance on this, which is kind of shocking if you ask me. But then New Line Cinema actually changed management and they had a young producer, and she was a huge horror fan and she was really keen on this idea and was really responsible for getting Freddy vs. Jason going. So in Freddy vs. Jason, the basic plot of this is Freddy is losing his power. All the children of Elm Street are not afraid of him anymore, so Freddy uses Jason to bring that fear back, but later finds that the children are more afraid of Jason and not really afraid of Freddy. So when Freddy finally brings that fear back, he realizes that Jason is not one to be controlled, and things get out of hand, and eventually Freddy must take matters into his own hands. And this leads up to the battle of Freddy vs. Jason. Now I'm gonna say this right off the bat. Freddy vs. Jason is a really fun movie. And a movie like this is never gonna live up to the expectations that have been built. And I think all things considering, Damien Swift and Mark Shannon actually did a damn good job writing the script for this movie. And let me explain why. These two guys were horror fans. They were fans of Freddy, fans of Jason, and in their script, they tried the best they could to keep the previous stories of Freddy and of Jason intact as best they could. I mean, is Jason Goes to Hell really canon in this? Probably not, which is funny because the end of Jason Goes to Hell is when we see Freddy grab Jason's mask and pull it down. So I like that they respected what came before, but they still created something fresh and new. And that's what I like about this movie. Freddy vs. Jason feels fresh. It's fun. It doesn't get weighted down by unnecessary exposition. It knows what it is, and it finds the most direct route to getting to that point in the movie. And that point being the showdown between Freddy and Jason. And really, when you think about it, this is probably a hard script to write because you have Freddy fans and you have Jason fans, and it's hard to please everybody. And I think the director and the writers did a pretty good job given the task at hand. Now, with a movie like Freddy vs. Jason, the characters really don't have to be that important, but it's a bonus if they are, and that's another thing I like about this movie. I actually did like the characters, Monica Keena and Jason Ritter. I thought they had really good chemistry between each other. And I gotta say, Monica Keena actually did a pretty damn good job in this movie, given how silly this movie could be. You could tell that she treated it with respect, and she has quite a few emotional scenes that she pulls off quite well. Also, there's some really cool kills in this movie. First off, I like the bed folding kill, where you got this guy laying in the bed and Jason stabs him in the back, and then he folds the bed in half. That was just a really creative and fun kill. And also, I gotta mention the cornfield rave. That was a really cool scene, and Jason might have killed more victims in that one scene than in all the previous movies. It was a slaughter fest, and it's got some cool imagery too because Jason catches on fire, and he is still a force to be reckoned with, and he is just hacking and slashing through everybody. I also really enjoyed Freddy in this movie. This is probably the best Freddy has been probably since before The Dream Master. You could tell that Robert Englund was bringing his A game to this movie. He wanted to really do a good job, and I think he knocked it out of the park, really. I think Freddy is actually probably the best part of this movie. He still had that really playful attitude with his victims, and he also still had some really cool one-liners like, "There's nothing to fear but fear himself." And finally, we got to talk about the showdown. You know, there's so many different ways they could have went with this, and I thought for the most part, each character really got a lot of good blows in. I mean, it is really bloody. You got Freddy stabbing Jason in the eye sockets with his blades, and you got Jason jamming his machete into Freddy's chest. I mean, there's just so much blood in this final act that it almost gets ridiculous. I would say for the most part though, it seemed like Freddy was really kicking Jason's ass. And I guess I get that because Freddy is a more intelligent opponent to Jason. Now, Freddy vs. Jason is not a perfect movie. There are a few things that kind of annoyed me about it. Like I said, given how many scripts and the hype around this movie, I think they did a good job, but I would have probably preferred a darker tone, at least in the final showdown between Freddy and Jason, because it almost felt like a WWF match. And I think part of the problem of that would be Ronnie Yu, the director, had never seen any of the previous Freddy or Jason films. And I guess sometimes that works for a movie, but I'm very curious to see what a director that was a huge fan of both these franchises would have brought to the table. Also, there's kind of a psychedelic scene in there, and you got this, looks like a Freddy caterpillar, and I just didn't think that scene was needed. It was kind of stupid, and it's definitely one of those WTF moments. But overall, guys, I'm nitpicking. Freddy vs. Jason is actually a pretty damn fun movie. So I would definitely give Freddy vs. Jason a purchase worthy. Like Tim from the Late Reviews said, it's not Criterion Collection material, but it's a good time. And also, I gotta mention the soundtrack. If you are a metal music fan, the soundtrack to Freddy vs. Jason is one of the best metal soundtracks that I've ever heard. It is great. So anyway, guys, that is my review of Freddy vs. Jason. We have one more Friday the 13th review left. That is the remake. I'm really looking forward to reviewing that one for you guys, and I'm kind of gonna be sad when it's over. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on Freddy vs. Jason? And what other franchises would you like me to review once I'm done with this one? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Humdrum out.